Yeah.
What up, though? OG Kenny, O_G_Kenny at Retired from the Streets TV, and welcome back. So I'm sitting here, and I skipped a step. I skipped the story actually. So I'm contemplating. I'm like, damn, I really want to be thorough and kind of cover everything and shout out everybody I can shout out from the different eras that I did time or was in the streets. A lot of street stuff I ain't covered, and it's just because of obvious reasons. Statute of limitations, people that was involved, still out here. You understand what I'm saying? It's still a certain code of ethic and honor that I'm gonna live by and move by when I'm doing these stories and whatnot. That's why I only touch on stories pertaining to the homies who already were incarcerated or who didn't caught a case and their case became newsworthy and it hit the news, right? And yeah, or you see like 90% of the stories from the homies come from that. All the rest of them is either they right here right now with me and we gonna communicate back and forth through Zoom, whatever, and tell them stories. But anywho, I'm in Coldwater, right? And this before I met my dude Chuck Baker, who was my QB. I had a little QB named Tank. So I'm in Coldwater, Lakeland Correctional, and I think B unit, I think it was. Anyway, I'm in the back and I'm in this corner. So in this corner, you got these two bunk beds that's divided by a row of like two desks, right? It's two desks right there, and then there's some lockers here and at the back of the wall, and two lockers out on the edge of the cube or the little area that we lived in, right? So to paint a picture, on the two top bunks, it was me on one side of the desk and my man Tank, a young white dude, on the other side, right? So we kicking it. We got cool. He was always, he always had his own food. I always had my own food. That right there is a clear-cut sign usually of that you can deal with a dude. Because most dudes sitting around watching the microwave, watching trays. You understand what I'm saying? You got dudes that's notorious for tray stalking. You in the chow hall, you eating. Soon as you about to get up out the dang, before you get up real good, they see you not eating nothing, right, whatever, they on your head about it. Let me get that, bro. Let me get that. Soon as you grab your tray about to get up, I hear my phone going off. Cut this bad boy down for y'all. Boom. So anyway, so you got a lot of dudes that weren't eating. This dude Tank always had a bunch of food. I'm like, damn. I'm like, you eating good? I'm like, your mama spoiling you, right? Cause my people looked out for me real heavy. He like, no, my girl be sending me bread. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you got you one of them little thick little hillbillies that's loyal. He's like, no, I got a black girlfriend. I'm like, you got a black girlfriend? That ain't unheard of. You feel me? One of my best dudes, Justin, married to a sister and never been with a white dude, young white dude, never been with a white girl in his life. He used to be telling me that before he got married, like, bro, it's a wrap. I'm getting married. I ain't never been one. I ain't gonna never be with one. So Tank thing was he had been with white girls, but the flavor of the sister he liked a little more. That was his thing. Hey, whatever. I got some brothers that don't like sisters no more. We have a little debates about it all the time. They want pure non-black girls. They don't care. They just don't want to deal with the black girl. They don't want to deal with the sisters. A lot of time, what I found out with them situations is they think they're under the distinct misconception that if you deal with a white woman or somebody outside of the black race as far as dating or a relationship, that these women are going to be meek and docile and submissive as hell, right? And man, listen, I got white homegirls who not playing with her dude just like the sister ain't. So, anywho, Tank is talking to me about his girlfriend. He describing her, and receipts is everything in prison. If you ain't got no paperwork, you better have some pictures. At least the pictures will help substantiate or validate what you saying to us. So let me see some pictures. Plus, we locked up. I want to see your little thick little black girlfriend you talking about. Let me see what you talking about, bro. Pull out some pictures of them two hugged up. Nice looking girl. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm like, you little scrub. You didn't knock you something bad. I'm like, so bro, I didn't really have no girlfriend. I had people I was dealing with before I got incarcerated. I said, what made you want to leave home and do dumb stuff and leave this out there in the streets? I'm curious because, like I say, I don't got nobody. So what's the deal? And he explained to me his case, what happened, how he got in there, the little charge he got, the armed robbery, which really wasn't an armed robbery. It was his homeboy who two of them ended up telling on him because they owed him something. He wanted to check them. He pulled the burner out because one of them went for something. Like he had something, but he really didn't. So he done upped the mag and like, man, run my stuff, bro. You feel me? That got him an armed robbery charge, even though they owed him. Crazy, right? So we chopping it up about relationships and about like, damn, man, it's hard, you know, because I had a high school sweetie before I got locked up. So I was a little like distraught when I first got locked up because I still had a lot of affection and love for her. But it is what it is. So, and I'm explaining to him why I got to do these 5 years without no woman because I don't want the stress. I'm like, yo, girl, nice looking, bro, and she strapped. You hear me? Nice little something. I'm like, she corn fed as hell. I'm like, I couldn't have nothing out there and be wondering and constantly thinking and whatnot. What is she doing? What is she going through? Who she talking to? And all these type of things, right? It would drive me crazy. I ain't have it in me. So I'm explaining that to him, and he like, well, I ain't tripping because we got like an open relationship. So she let me know when she about to get smashed or when she got smashed. I'm like, what? He like, yeah, we done had threesomes and we'll do all, you know, whatnot, then couple swaps and stuff, little swinger parties. And I'm like, man, this was the first young white dude that told me about this type of stuff, right? The other one was my dude Scotty. The one I said when your big homie or whatever, your OG and your little white homie start showering together. That's the story about Scotty. I met Scotty after I met Tank. So let me go further. Tank started telling me, he was like, well, when me and CiCi started kicking it, me and my girl, my girl stopped writing so much, and me and CiCi started kicking it, so I would just talk to CiCi all the time. That was like my thing, you know what I mean? So like, that was my affectionate partner and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, you ain't got no pictures of CiCi? Like, no, I ain't got no pictures. I probably get some pictures of CiCi, right? So he talking about CiCi for like 2 or 3 days straight. Like, man, I'm still looking for these pictures of CiCi, man. Like, man, everybody don't approve, you feel me? But I don't care. He like, I don't care. And I'm like, CiCi white or something? He like, yeah, CiCi white. I like, oh, so they used to you being with a black girl, and maybe that's the norm, so they don't want to. I'm like, what is, you know, they're not going to approve of. So he explaining to me how, he like, bro, I'm going to tell you something. He's like, about me and CiCi relationship. And I don't want, you know, just like kind of hear me out, bro, without having to say nothing bad about me. And I'm like, I ain't gonna judge you, my baby. Just like, you know, spill the beans. I'm nosy as hell. You feel what I'm saying? I'm nosy as hell. No, but for real, I wanted to hear what he had to say because I see what he's saying about this CiCi person, and I get it. And at the time, I had never been with anybody outside my race either, so I couldn't understand why you about to say anything. I'm like, I'll be writing letters, poems, and that's what I used to do. I used to write poems and letters for certain dudes to send to their girl, explaining, you know, and then got him back in the car. Right hand to God. Right hand to God. I used to write poems and letters for dudes and got them back in the car with their women. For real. So I'm like, bro, I'll pen you a letter. You know what I mean? Woo, woo. This little CiCi person seemed flaky. So he keep on talking about, like, whenever I see CiCi, it's just like, I'm like, damn, CiCi must come visit all the time. So I'm not asking too many questions because he's trying to explain it to me. And he like, well, look, this the thing, bro. I met CiCi since I've been locked up. He's like, I met CiCi at Cotton. Like I told you, they have sister facilities. Coldwater and GR Cotton swap inmates out. You feel me? You send me two, I send you two. Ride out people that go to the hole. So he had been to Cotton. I ended up going to Cotton, like I always be telling y'all and all these other stories. But he had been there already. So he keep talking about CiCi ass. I'm like, so let me explain. Let me ask you a question. Like, before you finish, you met CiCi in prison? While you been in prison, or CiCi is in prison too, like a pen pal? He like, because I didn't understand it. I'm like, so how you seeing CiCi? You know, it was confusing me. I'm like, what is? He like, no, CiCi locked up at GR Cotton. I didn't really never know. I didn't know the facilities. I'm like, what the hell is GR Cotton? He like, Cotton, bro, in Jackson. I'm like, it's a women's facility? And he like, nah, bro. He's like, it's a men's facility. They got level 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, CiCi a dude? He like, yeah, bro, that's what I'm about to tell you. CiCi a dude, man. He young, but He feel like he a woman. He think like a woman. He act like a woman. To him, he's a woman. And like I've been telling y'all, I didn't learn too much tolerance about that type of stuff until I got with doing business when that heroin hit G.R. Cotton and Miss Ann, the transgender OG that schooled me. Y'all watched that story. Y'all see what I'm talking about, Miss Ann. But yeah, man, that threw me off. If y'all haven't so far, please subscribe to the channel, get in the comment section, hit them likes, notification bell, and all that good stuff. But I was always flabbergasted hearing these type of stories when I first got incarcerated. Cause I'm like, you a young, ain't bad looking dude. Pause. Right? You ain't bad looking. You ain't shabby looking. You got this little fine, little thick sister out there in the streets, and you in love with a dude in prison that you met in prison. So then I started questioning things like, what y'all do? What y'all hold hands, walk, whoopty whoopty whoop? He started getting red, like, nah, bro. It's like embarrassed. He almost looked sleepy. He was so embarrassed. He was like, well, we do everything. We did everything. I'm like, man. I ain't want to know, like, was you pitching or catching? I ain't even want to ask all that. And I don't think I did ask all that. I just knew when he said everything, I got a hell of imagination. My mind do this. As soon as you tell me one thing, I probably own 7 other things because I didn't went there with that one thought. So when he said everything, a quick flash in my mind of you and this man naked and this romping and stuff, I'm like, no, bro. No. Now, like I've been saying, I got complete tolerance now with people. I'm grown. I'm 40 plus years old. I don't judge nobody. Whatever you do, however you swing, do you. Long as what you doing ain't intruding and impeding on what I'm trying to do for me and mine, I don't care what you doing, who you are, right? But what I'm saying to him was, though, like, do your girl know this, bro? Because to me, that's treacherous as hell. If you in here pitching and catching, and your girl don't know nothing about this, bro. And his girl didn't know. Yeah, my dogs. His girl did not know nothing about this, man. That pissed me off more than him talking about he messing with a dude. That had me livid. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, what you do in your own personal life is your business, right? When you got a woman or you got a dude and you doing all type of alternative stuff, especially sexually, that's the most vulnerable position to me you could be in with a person. It's sexual, laying down with them. That's why I tell people, like, if you effing around on your partner, if you messing around on your dude, or if you messing around on your chick, it's hard for me to fully 100% trust you. Because a person that lays down with you is putting themselves in the most vulnerable position ever. And if that person can't trust you, then why should I be able to believe that I can trust you? It's hard for me to fathom trusting you fully. I might be able to trust you with certain things, certain notions, but for real, I look at people different because when I ain't happy in a relationship, I get the hell on. I bust us up. Or we having these conversations consistently till we figure it out. Ain't no sweeping it under the rug, none of that. So when he telling me that his girl didn't know about that situation, I'm like, bro. So you basically in a gay relationship, a homosexual relationship, and your girl out there thinking maybe she felt it. Maybe that's why she fell back. Women, y'all, their intuition is bad. Maybe she felt something. Maybe she had a dream or a little, whoa, hold on, something ain't right. I'm about to fall back from him. Something ain't right. It might have been at that very moment of the entry. You understand what I'm saying? Who knows? It might have been going in, and on her end, it was going down. She like, I feel something. And it didn't feel good. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there because I don't, I can't relate. What's crazy about this situation is I never, like, I ain't stopped kicking it with Tank. I just was like, dog, you a different type of dude, bro. Like, being in prison them first year or so, I was open, my eyes was open up to so many different alternative lifestyles and ways of thinking and doing things that I was like, damn, it's crazy. It's like really just like mind your business and keep it moving because you can't always entertain everything you're seeing because there's too much going on. There's people in there that's to us, and people that I ain't gonna say to just us, but people who consider themselves normals, they weird as hell. You got some real weird, bugged out ass people in there, bro. Sis, you understand what I'm saying? So when I ended up leaving, because me and Tank stayed tight, he ended up riding out, and my man Chuck came, Chuck Baker, I told you. So he ended up leaving. Chuck ended up riding in, but I always remember Tank, and we didn't get each other's information to understand contact. But I remember that because when I ended up getting kicked out of Coldwater Lakeland Correctional Facility and going to GR Cotton, I ended up meeting CiCi. Not meeting CiCi, but running into CiCi. CiCi was on level 3 side, and I kept hearing about who they was calling White Boy Rick. They kept saying White Boy Rick, White Boy Rick. I'm like, the real White Boy Rick locked up here? I'm like, the real? I'm like, they like, no, not real White Boy Rick. It's this gay dude they call CiCi. I'm like, CiCi? I'm like, CiCi skinny, like tallish? They was like, yup, stay fresh. He be fresh as hell, 2-piece suits. He got all the jogging suits. He long hair. He keep a few people walking with him. So he was the one who wanted to cop something from us, right? And he had to go through somebody else to do it because we had kind of put a heart on who he was doing business with. Once things got a little hectic, dudes was going to the hole, going to medical. There was a lot of stuff going on inside of when that bag touched down. And my pop sent that bag up there, right? So when I ran to CiCi, CiCi was real mild-mannered, real well-spoken, real put together as far as clean. You know that he came from good stock, a good family. How he got to prison, I don't know. The fact that this was the dude who got Tank turned out in the joint, it was different for me. I'm like, wow, this dude is unassuming as hell, and it don't seem like he owned nothing. But maybe he was good with them knives, because there's a lot of dudes that don't seem like they own nothing, but they be working. They be in there working for real, for real. So my whole thing is like, you can't judge a book by its cover, for one. I learned a lot about tolerance and just understanding people's walks of lives in there. But if y'all own it, you know what I'm saying? This hopefully y'all was on it from jump and you ain't getting there and got turned out. But say for example you do, right? You get in there and you start falling in love with men. Be man enough like my man Thomas X. When I say he was man enough to admit that he loved the boy, that was a real story. All these stories real. I ain't fluffing a line about none of this. My thing is be man enough to admit what you about so that your spouse or your significant other can make a qualified choice and got an option to say. Don't be the one that's trying to have your cake and eat it too. Cake's on the menu. No. Y'all need to have y'all mind right when y'all going up in there knowing what y'all want to do and what y'all ain't going to do and stay founded on that, homeboy, homegirl. Get in there and do the right thing if you got to go do a bid or something, and stay away from people who will make you susceptible to your triggers, whatever your trigger is, because they will exemplify, and 9 times out of 10 them relationships are toxic. You understand? The relationships I've seen go down in prison are toxic. Them gay relationships be crazy wild. And the ones I hear about from the women prison with my homegirl Barbara Davis, calls home and whatnot, crazy. They be in there suicidal, depressed. It's a lot going on. I would advise y'all to hold y'all ground and stand fast. And if y'all don't got that much time, keep it on clamp until you go home. Up duty calls, phone ringing. That's my Zoom meeting I got to get to. I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I will see y'all next time. I love y'all and be safe. O_G_Kenny at Retired from the Streets TV, and I'm out. Nigga. Ha.